The wealthy heir was forced to marry a fool. The little fool became pregnant and he coaxed the little fool into getting an abortion. Gregory only married you so you could donate bone marrow to his sister. Why would he ever want a fool to have his child? His woman revealed the truth to the little fool with a mocking face. The little fool jumped off a tall building. But the high and mighty heir completely broke down. Chapter 1. There was one more person in the house. Her name was Susie. Gregory's the one he secretly longs for but could never have. At first I didn't know what that phrase meant, so I went to ask Virginia. It means she's the person my brother has always yearned for but could never reach. When she comes back, you silly thing will have to step aside obediently. A sudden panic rose in my heart, a fear that Gregory would be taken away. On the day Gregory went to pick Susie up at the airport, I threw a tantrum, rolling and flailing, pretending my stomach hurt just to hold him back. Forgive me, I'm just a fool. I really couldn't think of any clever way. Sharp as Gregory usually was, he actually got delayed by me for a whole hour. His suit got wrinkled from my pulling and his neatly combed hair was a bit messed up. Until a call came in and the girl on the other end sweetly called him Gregory. Gregory didn't even have time to fix the clothes I had wrinkled, he rushed out the door. He always cared most about his appearance. Chapter 2. I finally saw the legendary woman Gregory longed for. She was beautiful, dressed in a white dress with a gentle smile on her lips, like a fairy. But I didn't like her. They stood so close and Gregory's face held a rare smile. Perfect match. That word came to mind. Everyone said Gregory and I were not a good match. A fool and a brilliant man favored by fate. Gregory Castro's marriage to me was something the Castro grandfather arranged. After my own grandfather passed away, I had no one left. To repay the kindness of my family, the Castro grandfather held Gregory's hand before he died and made him marry me. The rest of my life was tied to Gregory. So he didn't marry me out of his own will. Thus when we first got married, I was terrified of him. People said Gregory was ruthless and I feared that my days ahead would be nothing but misery. But later he treated me tenderly, as if holding me in the palm of his hand, slapping the faces of many who waited to see me humiliated. Yet from the moment Susie appeared, that special favor was no longer meant for me. I never knew how to hide my emotions. My eyes reddened immediately as I questioned Gregory, "Do you not want me anymore?" That woman pressed her lips into a smile, as if watching a child make a scene. "Gregory, she's kind of adorable. Even a little fool knows how to get jealous." Her teasing tone carried a hint of warmth. I wanted to refute her but didn't know what to say. Gregory helplessly patted my head. "It's probably because I scolded her this morning. I bought you a small cake. Don't be mad, okay?" I took the cake weakly and didn't say anything else. Chapter 3. Virginia liked her very much. She even rushed back from the hospital. The moment they met, Virginia dramatically threw herself into her arms. "Sis, if you didn't come back any sooner, what would we do if my brother really fell for that fool?" Susie gently patted her head, indulgent as ever. "Virginia, she is your brother's wife. Don't say things like that." I had been married to Gregory for 5 years and Virginia always called me the fool. She hated me deeply, believing I had ruined Gregory's entire life. On the day Castro grandpa forced Gregory to marry me, Susie went abroad. Anyone with eyes could tell what had happened. So besides calling me the fool, Virginia also liked calling me a homewrecker. Gregory once scolded Virginia for this, and that time she cried hysterically and slit her wrist with a fruit knife. She had leukemia. Any small wound would bleed uncontrollably. Such a deep cut could have cost her life. After that incident, everyone in the Castro family blamed me. Gregory also deeply regretted scolding his sister. The fool, she had called me that for 5 whole years and everyone was used to it. Chapter 4. Susie naturally stayed in the Castro household. For this rare family gathering, Castro aunt personally cooked a full table of dishes to welcome her. I benefited from it only because I was there. In the past, Castro aunt had treated me well too. But I should never have become Gregory Castro's wife. The young lady of the Castro family could never be someone like me, a fool. If I could start over, I would definitely refuse the marriage when Castro grandpa made his dying wish. I didn't want to be hated by everyone. The amount of dislike Castro aunt had for me was equal to her fondness for Susie. The entire table was full of spicy dishes and only a few light ones were placed in front of Virginia. Virginia joked exaggeratedly, "Oh, looks like now that the daughter-in-law is back the real daughter doesn't matter anymore. Look at all this food, TSK TSK TSK, Mom, you're so biased." Castro aunt laughed and glared at her. "What are you talking about? Someone specifically reminded me about this, didn't they?" Susie's cheeks turned a shade of pink and she cast a subtle glance at Gregory. "Gregory still remembers that spicy food is my favorite." Virginia nudged her with her elbow, grinning. "Of course you're someone's true love after all." I turned to see Gregory's reaction. His hand paused midair while picking up food, but he didn't explain anything. A wave of indescribable disappointment washed over me. The table full of spicy dishes left me with nothing to eat, so I nibbled on plain rice. Gregory stood up, scooped some non-spicy food into a small bowl and passed it to me. I was easy to please. And when I took the bowl with a bit of joy, Castro aunt spoke in a tone that was light yet cutting. "Gregory, don't do something so improper. If she can eat, she'll eat. If she can't, then she won't." The food I had just swallowed stuck in my throat, neither going up nor down. The air grew thick with embarrassment. I thought Castro aunt was unhappy that I didn't eat her cooking, so I hurriedly took a few mouthfuls. I smiled at her, trying to please her. "Auntie, it's really delicious. If I hadn't been there, they probably would have had a wonderful meal." Chapter 5. Susie's arrival made me feel even more unnecessary in the Castro household. She was gentle and beautiful, quickly winning the love of everyone in the family. Sometimes I overheard the servants talking. "Miss Susie and the young master are really such a perfect match. What a pity. A pity that Gregory had already married a fool." "What's there to pity?" I heard. "The young master is taking Miss Susie to the company's annual gala tomorrow. Anyone can tell who the real lady of the house is." My hands, which were holding our cat Milo, suddenly tightened. Milo meowed in surprise. The servants panicked and stopped talking, scattering quickly. Gregory had never taken me to a company gala. I knew why, because I was a fool, someone unpresentable. So I always behaved, never daring to make things difficult for him by bringing it up. But tonight, for the first time, I told him I wanted to go with him tomorrow. Even though I knew in my heart that he only pitied me, I still masochistically wanted to confirm who weighed more in his heart, Susie or me. Gregory had just finished showering and the stubble on his jaw was prickly as he deliberately pressed his face against mine to kiss me. Lately he had been coming home very late every night, dark fatigue lingering beneath his eyes. I slept early, and in the past, no matter how busy he was, he would come home early to coax me to sleep. He even read those childish fairy tales to me, stories so silly they made others laugh, but I never got tired of listening. Now those fairy tale books were collecting dust. When he heard my cautious request, his movements stopped. He frowned slightly. No, I didn't throw a tantrum. I simply stayed quiet in his arms. He reached past me and turned off the light. In the darkness, the tears I had held back for so long finally spilled out silently onto the pillow. People said fools didn't understand love, but Gregory. I think I do. 5 years of his unreserved affection had raised me into someone greedy for more. He had nurtured a small flower blooming in the desert, and without water a flower wilts quickly. Chapter 6. On the night of the banquet, I smiled and waved goodbye to him. Gregory wore a black suit, his hair neatly combed, each strand obediently in place. He patted my head and promised to bring me a small cake when he returned. If this were before, I might have looked forward to that promise for the entire day. But I had become greedy. A small cake could no longer comfort me, Gregory. I sat in front of the TV watching the live news coverage of the gala entrance. Susie wore a striking red dress, bold and dazzling, lightly holding Gregory's arm, the two of them looking like a flawlessly matched couple. A reporter asked, "Are you two preparing for a happy announcement soon?" "That's our private matter. It's not convenient to disclose." Susie pushed away the microphone coldly and pulled Gregory out of the crowd of reporters. Her ambiguous answer gave plenty of room for speculation. As Gregory was being led away, he suddenly turned his head and gave a faint smile toward the camera. The moment was captured, and in less than 10 minutes it made the trending news under the headline, "She's upset but he's smiling." I dug out the articles from 5 years ago reporting on their romance like a rat hiding in the gutter, secretly peeking at the traces of their happiness. And at that moment I finally realized, perhaps I should let Gregory go. Chapter 7. Mom once said I was born a burden, unlikable and troublesome. When I was very young my dad passed away. After Mom remarried she had a new baby boy. I didn't understand anything back then. I would secretly go look for her. That day when I visited I saw my baby brother bundled in his blanket, so cute. I reached out to tease him but unexpectedly I was shoved to the ground. A large patch of skin scraped off my knee, it hurt so much. My little brother's father protectively took him away glaring at my mom with disgust. Can you keep your fool daughter from coming here? She's bad luck. What if she hurts our son? I looked helplessly at my mom. She gave an awkward smile and quietly agreed. When Grandpa came to pick me up he saw my untreated wound and exploded in anger, scolding my mom fiercely. My mom broke down crying in front of me. Ellie, please don't come disturb my life anymore, okay? Mom finally has a new family. Mom had my brother so she didn't want me anymore. Gregory had Susie so he didn't want me anymore. No one would ever like a fool, except Grandpa. But Grandpa was gone. There would never again be anyone who loved me. I was just a burden no one could get rid of. After Grandpa died no one wanted to take me in. Castro Grandpa brought me home and later, he handed this burden over to Gregory. I shouldn't have taken away Gregory's right to happiness. I wanted a divorce. Just as everyone wished, to give Susie the place she deserved. Chapter 8. The villa felt empty and unusually quiet. My phone rang several times. It was Gregory but for some reason I didn't want to answer. His usual black car was parked outside the gate. The driver said Gregory had sent him to pick me up. Maybe he softened because he couldn't stand seeing me pitiful. But the moment I got off I sensed something was wrong. The driver dropped me off at the hotel entrance. Before this, even when I had to attend events with the Castro family I always had to enter through the side door. Castro aunt would never allow me to walk with them, much less appear in front of the media. I was the shame of the Castro family, someone they couldn't show. Frightened I wanted to return to the car but it drove off before I could move. A wave of cameras instantly aimed at me like they had eyes of their own. Someone recognized me and gasped, "Isn't that Gregory's fool wife?" Chaos erupted. More reporters pushed toward me with their cameras crowding around me while firing sharp questions. "Do you not feel unworthy of Gregory today? Mr. Castro brought his new woman. Rumor says the Castro family is changing their lady of the house. Is it true?" Their voices overflowed with mockery and malice. I trembled uncontrollably. Someone shoved me and I fell hard to the ground, scraping my palm. Cameras clicked wildly, capturing my humiliation. I finally burst into tears, calling Gregory's name helplessly. When Gregory arrived his expression was dark. I clung to his suit, shaking. "Didn't I tell you not to come? Why can't you listen?" Still shaken I opened my mouth to explain but he cut me off impatiently. "Enough. I'll have the driver take you home." I let go of him silently. Susie gently soothed him. "Don't be mad, Gregory. Ellie's just playful. I'll take her around and help her get familiar with the people." Standing next to her, confident and radiant, I looked even more ridiculous. Then Gregory noticed the blood dripping onto the floor from my hand. His anger mixed with worry as his expression softened. "Why didn't you tell me you were hurt?" I stepped back, hiding my injured hand behind me, avoiding his touch. "I'm fine. I'll go home now. I won't embarrass you by staying here." The faint stares in the lobby felt like flames burning into my heart, making me unable to breathe. Gregory forcefully took me to the lounge to treat my wound. The concern on his face didn't look fake. A waiter brought several small cakes, all my favorites. He coaxed me gently, telling me that eating the cakes would make the pain go away while carefully cleaning my wound. Even after he finished bandaging it, I hadn't made a single sound. In the past, if Milo ever scratched me by accident, even just a tiny pink mark, I would tearfully run to Gregory for comfort. Gregory sensed something was wrong. A faint unease rose in him. He pulled me into his arms, murmuring softly, "What's wrong? Were you scared?" I pulled away, fingers nervously twisting my skirt, head lowered in apology. "I'm sorry. I caused trouble for you." He let out a relieved breath and rubbed my head with a soft laugh. "Ellie is not trouble. I want to go home." "All right." Chapter 9. I intentionally distanced myself from Gregory, gently pushing him towards Susie. Gregory had already sacrificed too much for me. I wanted to fulfill what should have been theirs. On an ordinary morning the breakfast table held only the three of us. As usual I made a clumsy excuse to leave, giving them space to be alone. But Gregory followed me back to the room and cornered me against the wall, frustrated. "Ellie, you'd better explain yourself." I didn't understand. Wasn't this what he wanted? Why was he unhappy? Then again, Gregory was a man with a strong sense of responsibility. Since he had promised Castro grandpa he would marry me, he would never break that promise. Unless I left on my own, he would never choose to divorce me. And so I needed to be the one to break the delicate balance among the three of us. I took a deep breath and forced a smile uglier than crying. "Gregory, when you two get married you must invite me for the wedding candy. I wish you happiness." Gregory's expression darkened even more. He opened his mouth to say something but Castro Aunt called for him. Before leaving he pinched my cheek hard and ordered wait for me obediently. Chapter 10. In the study, Castro Aunt and Gregory were having an intense argument. The study was close to our room and from the balcony I could hear their conversation clearly. Castro Aunt wanted Gregory to divorce me. He refused. "Why are you so stubborn? It's not like we're abandoning her. Even after the divorce we'll still support her, food, clothes, everything. Isn't that enough? Do you realize how much she embarrasses the Castro group? Who knows what trouble she'll cause next? We can't just let her cling to you forever, can we?" What followed was Gregory's prolonged silence. I crouched there for so long that my legs went numb before I finally heard Gregory speak, his voice strained. "Mom. Without me she won't survive." That night Gregory didn't come back to the room. I waited obediently for him the entire night. "Gregory, you lied again." Chapter 11. Since Gregory couldn't be persuaded, Castro Aunt came to me instead. The foolish and panicked reaction I showed that day had been captured by the media and spread widely online. She opened the comment section and showed it to me. It was filled with filthy insults. My eyes reddened as I lowered my head, too afraid to keep looking. "I'm sorry," Castro Aunt softened her tone. "Ellie, I'm not trying to hurt you. It's just that your image has brought a great negative impact on the Castro brand. Castro is a high luxury label. The lady of the house cannot be a..." She paused before continuing. "In any case, even if you divorce, I will still treat you like my own daughter. The Castro home will always be your home. Think about it carefully." "No need to think, Auntie. I agree to the divorce." Castro Aunt was overjoyed and grabbed my hands, repeating "good" 3 times. Smiling brightly, she pulled me toward the kitchen. "Tell me anything you want to eat, Auntie will make it for you." I responded absent-mindedly and returned to the room. Even though I had long prepared myself to leave him, my heart still hurt so much. I curled up under the blanket, the corner pressed against my face, already soaked through with tears. Milo lay on top of my head, meowing softly. He was a stray kitten I had picked up. The first time I met him he was limping, licking a plastic bag beside a trash can. His fur was matted and his entire little body was filthy. Gregory said he was probably abandoned by his mother. My heart ached at how similar his experience was to mine, and I begged Gregory to take him home. Gregory had a severe cleanliness obsession, yet that day he personally held the dirty little stray kitten, only because he was afraid I might get fleas from touching it. After taking the kitten for a checkup and returning home, Gregory showered several times. His skin was rubbed red all over, even breaking into rashes. I hugged him and cried from distress, and no matter how much Gregory coaxed me, it didn't help. More than a year passed and the once sickly kitten had grown into a 15-pound chubby cat, pressing down on me until I could hardly breathe. I pulled him off, meeting his round eyes filled with confusion and concern. So he was worried about me. I leaned my head against his soft belly and murmured, "Baby, you'll stay with me forever, right?" Meow. Chapter 12. This time the atmosphere at the dining table felt unusually harmonious. Castro Aunt kept putting food into my bowl. Gregory thought his mother had finally come around and his mood visibly lightened. Until Castro Aunt said, "I discussed the divorce with Ellie today and she agreed." The smile instantly vanished from Gregory's face. He stared at me intensely. "Ellie, you want to divorce me?" I nodded quietly. Crash. The bowl on the table shattered as Gregory slammed it down in fury. I had never seen him look so terrifying. My face went pale from fright. Gregory dragged me back to our room. He didn't control his strength, my wrist felt as if it would be crushed. The loud slam of the door behind us made me jump. I kept hitting his arm with my free hand, my voice trembling with tears. Gregory, let me go, I'm scared. He threw me onto the bed, leaning over me. Ellie, do you have no conscience at all? Do you know how much pressure I've endured just to stay with you? Gregory's eyes were bloodshot, the veins on his forehead throbbing. He was utterly enraged. He vented his anger by biting my neck, hard at first then softer, teasing, purposefully waiting for me to beg him to stop. Still dare talk about divorce? Apologize and I'll let you go. But no matter how much it hurt, I clenched my teeth and stayed silent. Gregory finally realized my desire for divorce wasn't some momentary tantrum. He kicked the wardrobe viciously. The door nearly fell off its hinges. You want a divorce? Impossible. Not in this lifetime. Ellie, don't be so naive. Without me, without the Castro family, how would you survive? You're a fool who can't do anything. Besides relying on me, you have no other choice. I wanted to refute him. Grandpa left me plenty of money. I could draw. I could cook, though not very well. I wasn't the useless fool everyone said I was. But the moment I met Gregory's slightly mocking gaze, everything I wanted to say deflated in my chest. No words came out. Gregory fully displayed the ruthlessness of a businessman, each sentence sharp, each hitting where it hurt. One by one he laid out the cruelty of the world, proving how someone as sheltered as I was would be devoured whole without the Castro family behind me. A slap followed by a sweet date. In the end he rubbed my head, coaxing softly, Ellie, isn't it nice to stay with me and be a carefree little princess? I slapped his hand away fiercely. Go away, Gregory, the first hate you. I hate everyone in the Castro family. I cried until I couldn't breathe, my stomach cramping painfully. Gregory panicked, pulling me into his arms, apologizing over and over, guiding my hand to hit his face to let me vent. But the pain in my stomach grew sharper. My face turned white as I collapsed against him. Ellie, Ellie. Before I fainted I heard Gregory calling my name, frantic and terrified. Chapter 13. The smell of hospital disinfectant filled my nose. The moment I opened my eyes I saw Gregory's bloodshot ones staring back at me. I was pregnant. Gregory was delighted, because now he finally had a reason that could keep me tied to his side. I hadn't spoken to him for days, but Gregory became unusually talkative, gathering several interesting storybooks to read to me. Online rumors about the Castro group changing its lady of the house grew more and more intense. Gregory personally used the company's official account to clarify, a family of 3. The attached picture was of 2 hands interlaced and an ultrasound printout. Comments flooded in. Wow, President Castro and our Susie are having a baby, congrats. That fool finally stepped aside. As expected, when the ex cries the current one loses. Gregory frowned and replied, are you blind? He childishly argued with various media outlets posting proof of our love. The president of the Castro group behaving so immaturely left countless netizens stunned. He proudly showed the phone to me. They won't dare say anything about you anymore. Don't be mad, talk to me, okay? I deliberately turned away from him, refusing to speak. But I touched my belly. After thinking for a long time I finally spoke. Gregory, wasn't Susie your dream girl? Gregory paused mid-apple slicing. That's not true. They're making things up. Then, can she stop living in our home? I was terribly conflicted, twisting the corner of my clothes into a tight knot. I felt like a bad person. Gregory met my hopeful, innocent eyes, but he looked away, uncomfortable. Don't overthink. She's just a guest. The hope I had just gathered fell straight into an abyss. Gregory really was a liar. I would never believe him again. Chapter 14. The doctor wanted me hospitalized for pregnancy preservation, and Virginia stayed in the room next to mine. The day I arrived she even came over dragging her forestand. When she heard I was pregnant she rolled her eyes. How lucky. Poor my brother, he'll have to spend his whole life with a fool. Gregory looked at his sister's sickly pale face and couldn't bring himself to scold her. He asked me not to mind her because Virginia was seriously ill. The doctors issued an ultimatum, she had to undergo a bone marrow transplant this week. But Virginia had a rare blood type and no suitable match had been found yet. Gregory spent the whole night smoking on the balcony. The floor was littered with cigarette butts. He kept watching me, his eyes filled with emotions I didn't understand, reluctance and conflict. Until Susie came to see me, only then did I learn the cruel truth behind Gregory's conflict. Gregory married you only so you'd be ready to donate bone marrow to his sister anytime. Why would he care about a fool having his child? She wore a tight red dress that showcased her perfect figure. Her red lips curled as she spoke words meant to cut straight through the heart. That so-called pregnancy preservation, please. He already booked you an abortion. He's just waiting for you to donate bone marrow. A chill spread through me. My first reaction was disbelief. Gregory would never do that. He never would. She laughed at my naivety. Gregory is the most cold-hearted man alive. He's no saint. After she left, I waited in the room for Gregory for a long time. He had said he went to buy lunch for me. I got out of bed and walked slowly toward the hallway, stopping outside the doctor's office. Gregory's voice came through the half-open door. Let's schedule the surgery for tomorrow morning. Please keep it from her. Then came Castro Ant's anxious voice. How soon after the abortion can she donate bone marrow? I'm afraid Virginia won't last. It was true, everything Susie said was true. I couldn't listen anymore. I ran back to my room, the pain in my stomach flaring because I moved too fast. Why, Gregory, why would you do this to me? Chapter 15. 2 bodyguards appeared at the door of my hospital room. Gregory asked me somewhat unnaturally where I had gone that morning. With my head lowered, I told him I went downstairs to look for him because he hadn't returned for a long time. Gregory let out a barely noticeable breath of relief and coaxed me to eat. But when I looked at those 2 bodyguards standing like stone guardians, my heart sank completely. Gregory, you wouldn't lie to me, right? He was carefully picking out slivers of ginger from the ribs for me. His hand holding the chopsticks paused for a moment. Silly girl, when have I ever lied to you? I took his hand and placed it over my belly. Inside was our child. I smiled with naive happiness and asked him, have you thought of a name for the baby? Look, in a few months he'll start to move. Gregory fled in panic. The surgery proceeded as scheduled. Gregory personally carried me to the operating table. I clung tightly to his hand, sobbing uncontrollably. Gregory, the first, want to keep him, please. Gregory turned his eyes away and cruelly loosened his grip on my hand. Be good. We can have another child. Gregory, I hate you. I will never forgive you. Chapter 16. I didn't know how many days had passed, only that I hadn't spoken a single word since the abortion. He refused to divorce me. I tried to run away several times, but he always found me soon after. More people were stationed in the villa to watch me. I was trapped inside a dim room. When the servant brought my meal, she tried to persuade me. Mr. Castro treats you so well. Don't fight him, don't wait until, sigh. I raised my hand and knocked the tray over. Food splattered all over her. The next day someone else came to deliver my meals. They all said I had gone crazy. I resisted Gregory's touch. Even when he stepped into my room, I screamed and cried, telling him to get out. So he stayed silently outside the door, talking to me even if I didn't respond. Sometimes he stayed there the entire day. When he ran out of things to say, he quietly read fairy tales, just like before. The last time he forced a hug around me, his tears fell onto my face. Ellie. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He hadn't come for several days now. Without realizing it, I found myself standing by the window. The rain was pouring heavily. Soon cold raindrops splashed onto my face. The flowers in the garden had been moved into the greenhouse before the storm. Only a few lonely blades of grass remained outside, beaten mercilessly by the wind and rain. Finally they couldn't endure anymore and collapsed into the mud. Grandpa. I miss you. I opened my arms. The roaring wind sliced past my ears. My world finally became quiet. Chapter 17. Virginia was placed in a sterile isolation unit to undergo the bone marrow transplant. The doctor said everything went smoothly. Gregory finally breathed a sigh of relief. He picked up an exquisite little cake, ready to hurry home, when he received a call from the landline at the house. A wave of dread surged through him. The moment he answered, a panicked voice came through. Sir, Madam jumped off the building. The cake slipped from his hand and smashed onto the ground, its shape completely ruined. Gregory drove home like a madman. He hated himself for being so careless. He knew her mental state had been fragile after the abortion, so why did he leave her alone at home? When the light outside the operating room finally dimmed and the doctor told him the surgery was successful, Gregory's rigid body collapsed. He fell to his knees and broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Chapter 18. I fell into a coma. The doctor said I might wake soon, or never at all. Gregory treated the hospital room as his office, guarding me day and night. When I finally woke up, Gregory just stood there staring at me for a long time, long enough that the bowl of hot soup burned blisters across his entire hand. When he realized I was awake, he rushed over and hugged me with all his strength. He had lost so much weight that his sharp bones dug painfully into me. Ellie, I waited so long for you. I thought you weren't coming back to me. I could feel his arms trembling, his voice choking as he spoke. I felt as if I had had a very long dream, a dream with Grandpa. Grandpa wore his reading glasses, carefully stitching up my torn stuffed rabbit with his crooked old fingers. When he finally finished, I burst into tears because the stitches were so crooked and ugly. The old man panicked, stamping his feet, and immediately ordered people to deliver hundreds of stuffed rabbits, filling my entire room. He always sighed, "Sweet girl, what will you do when Grandpa is gone?" "Yes, Grandpa, after you left everyone bullied me. So how could you bear to leave me behind?" Grandpa's figure grew more and more blurry in the dream. In the very last moment I heard him shout, "Ellie, live strong. And if anyone bullies you, fight back." I woke with tears in my eyes, smiling. Grandpa always had a fiery temper. Even if a stranger looked at me weirdly on the street, he would charge up to them ready to fight. But I was born too soft-hearted. Grandpa tried to toughen me up, but whenever he saw my pitiful face, he couldn't bring himself to push harder. This time I would live bravely, carrying Grandpa's expectations. Chapter 19. The first thing I insisted on after waking up was divorcing Gregory. Gregory nearly lost his mind. He rushed to explain in panic, "Are you still angry because of Susie? I already kicked her out. She won't come back to bother us again. I only brought her back before because she agreed to donate bone marrow to Virginia." I froze. "You didn't marry me just so I could donate bone marrow to Virginia anytime." Gregory's expression darkened instantly. In a flash he understood exactly what kind of scheme Susie had been playing. Virginia desperately needed a transplant. He couldn't afford to wait endlessly on the donor list, so he used certain unspeakable methods to locate a suitable donor quickly. Susie was one of the very few people whose bone marrow matched Virginia's. To the Castro family, she was a life-saving straw. But Gregory never had good feelings towards Susie. They had been university classmates, and rumors at school claimed they were lovers. The truth, however, was something Susie knew better than anyone. She repeatedly spread rumors, and even deliberately approached him when he was drunk. That finally enraged him. That very night he sent her to a slum overseas, leaving her to fend for herself. Gregory was not blind to Susie's intentions. He merely tolerated her for Virginia's sake, closing one eye and pretending not to see. But he had made Ellie, he had made me suffer. He was the one who hurt me. He had been too arrogant, assuming that with him protecting me, Susie wouldn't be able to cause any real trouble. Ellie's emotions were childish, easily coaxed, or so he believed. Now Gregory regretted it deeply. He wished he could kill Susie right then and there to pay for what she had done to me. "She lied to you. At first I married you out of duty. I thought I would never love anyone in my life, and taking care of you forever didn't seem so bad. But later, I realized my possessiveness toward you kept growing. That's when I understood I had fallen in love with you." I turned my head away, avoiding his burning gaze. Gregory held my hand urgently, almost pleading, and knelt beside the bed. "Ellie, you can hit me, scold me, just please don't ignore me. Did she tell you something else? Don't worry. I will make her pay." After a long moment I finally asked about the abortion. My voice trembled. That event had carved a wound into my heart, one that would never heal. I wasn't trying to forgive him. I simply didn't want to misunderstand anyone anymore. Gregory told me I had an ectopic pregnancy. The baby had to be removed. He was afraid I would insist on keeping the child, so he couldn't bring himself to tell me the truth beforehand. That day, after speaking with the doctor, he returned to find me dazed and showing a smile uglier than crying. He thought I already knew and misunderstood my expression entirely. Susie had undergone an abortion some time before returning to the country. That was why I misunderstood everything. When he realized why I had reacted so violently after losing the baby, Gregory's heart broke. He cried because he hurt so much for me. "You silly girl, why didn't you come ask me?" I was extremely sensitive to others' emotions. During that time I sensed his impatience with me, and with Virginia's condition worsening, how could I dare bother him? I had questioned him with my little grievances before, but he always treated it as childish temper and dismissed it with "I'll buy you a small cake." As if I cared about that. Loving someone is exhausting. Grandpa wanted me to be happy. So I won't choose Gregory anymore. Chapter 20. After the divorce, what will you do? I grew a little angry. Gregory, it's not like I can't live without you. I'm not some pitiful person who can only cling to him. I don't need him as much as he thinks. Gregory's eyes avoided mine. I became furious, standing by the window as I threatened him. "You want me to jump again? Even without Susie we wouldn't be happy because none of you ever treated me like a normal person. I don't want to be called stupid anymore. I don't want to be mocked for not being worthy of you. Do you understand? I'm very unhappy with you." When my voice faded, the room fell into a long silence. No one knew how much time had passed before Gregory finally spoke in a hoarse voice. "All right, we'll get divorced." Chapter 21. Gregory's trembling hand signed the divorce agreement. Before leaving he smiled and wished her happiness every day from now on. He didn't even know how he drove home, dazed, drifting, almost crashing the car. When he arrived, several cheers exploded in Gregory's deadened world and colorful ribbons fell all over him. "Congratulations to my brother for returning to single life." The three people in the house were all delighted. Although they felt a little guilty toward Ellie, they planned to make it up to her later. For the first time, Gregory lost his temper so badly that he smashed everything he could like a lion gone mad. Virginia and his mother froze in fear, not daring to move. Gregory stared at Susie with murderous eyes, one hand clamping down hard on Susie's neck, squeezing tighter and tighter. "To break up Ellie and me? Impressive methods, really." Seeing that Susie was about to faint, the others hurriedly rushed forward and pulled Gregory away. Susie collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath, hatred boiling in his heart. Gregory returned to his room. The wedding photo hanging by the bed stabbed into his heart like a blade. Every detail in the room screamed of the woman who once lived there. He curled up in the spot where she usually slept as if she were still right there. In the days that followed, Gregory locked himself in the room, drowning himself in alcohol. Sometimes when he was drunk to the point of delirium, her figure would flash before his eyes. "Ellie, you're here." Virginia's hand was tightly gripped by her brother. She was helpless. Brother, wake up, Castro Corporation is in huge trouble." He only responded with drunken muttering, crying and laughing at random. Virginia regretted everything. Had she known Ellie meant so much to her brother, she would have treated Ellie better. Now Susie had stolen confidential files from Castro Corporation and sold them to its competitors. Although Susie had been caught at the border, Castro Corporation still couldn't get the documents back. Virginia panicked. Castro Corporation desperately needed funding, but who would still be willing to invest now, right, Ellie? Virginia turned to her mother and proposed they go and humble themselves before Ellie. Ellie loved her brother so deeply and was so kind and pure, she definitely wouldn't stand by and watch Castro Corporation be destroyed. Gregory staggered out of the room, forcing himself to endure the splitting headache. "Don't disturb Ellie. I can handle it myself." He didn't want her peaceful life to be stirred up again because of him. Virginia ignored him and dragged her mother out the door. Chapter 22. I returned to the castle where I had so many wonderful memories with Grandpa. He had given it to me as a gift for my 12th birthday, and behind the castle lay a vast sea of flowers. Grandpa was gone now, but traces of him were everywhere. He would always be with me. The flowers were in full bloom and Milo was in the field chasing butterflies. I picked up my brush and sketched the scene. At some point Gabby had slipped behind me. She held Milo's snacks in her hands, crunching them loudly. I had found her in an alley covered in blood and already unconscious. I was terrified but still called an ambulance to send her to the hospital and paid all her medical bills. The nurse told me they couldn't find any family for her. How pitiful. Who would have thought she would cling to me afterward? Her body still wrapped in bandages, she suddenly dropped to her knees before me and declared that I would be her master from then on. I was so shocked I tried to run, but she grabbed my leg and wailed. I'm really easy to take care of and I'm super good at fighting, killing, robbing, whatever you need, no problem. I promise I eat only a little, please don't abandon me, wah. She hadn't lied, she really was strong. Last time a man saw that I looked dazed and tried to touch me. Gabby kicked him so hard that a few teeth flew out mixed with blood. I admired her immensely and kept pestering her to teach me. But as for eating only a little, that was a lie. I watched in exasperation as she fought Milo for his snacks. Miss, 2 people outside want to see you. The young one seems to be named Virginia and the older one. I forgot. Milo, seeing his snacks stolen, let out a meow and hurled himself into battle with her. The 2 of them instantly became a tangled mess. I added the final stroke to the painting. The whole scene was full of life, skillless but playful and cute. Honestly, I didn't want to see them. After the divorce, I had deliberately forgotten everything about Gregory and the years of pain. I asked the butler to send them away, but near dusk I learned that they never left. They had waited outside the entire day. Let them in. Chapter 23. Aunt Castro held my hand warmly as she greeted me. Ellie, I haven't seen you in so long. You've gotten thinner. I lowered my head seriously to look at my belly. No, I'd actually gained 10 pounds. What brings you here, I asked. Aunt Castro's eyes filled with tears. Ellie, after the way I treated you before, you don't resent me, do you? I used to be so narrow-minded. Virginia couldn't stand her mother's rambling and cut her off directly. Sis-in-law, I'll just say it straight. After the divorce, my brother stays in his room drinking every day. He really misses you, but he forces himself not to go find you. He's only torturing himself. And that bitch Susie stole the company's trade secrets and sold them to our competitor. Now the company's stock is crashing and our capital chain is broken. I was young and stupid before, but I promise if you get back together with my brother, I'll never cause trouble again. Sis-in-law, you're the kindest person ever. We lived together for 5 years at least. Please help my brother, okay? As she spoke, she shook my arm, whining coquettishly. I recoiled as if I'd seen a ghost, goosebumps rising all over my body. We're already divorced. I'm not your sister-in-law and I have no obligation to help you. I had told Gabby about our past. She had disliked them long before this moment. Hey, how thick are your faces? You flap your little mouths and expect Miss to help you. Forgot how you treated her before. If you want to borrow money, show some sincerity, kneel down and knock your heads on the floor. I want to hear how loud it is. Virginia's face flushed red. She was about to explode when Aunt Castro stopped her. Aunt Castro's legs trembled as she slowly bent down, tears rolling down her cheeks. All right. Auntie will kneel and apologize to you. Gabby cursed under her breath and scooped me up like a sack of feathers. No way, I'm letting her really kneel to you. That'd give her a perfect excuse to morally blackmail you. After that, Gabby refused to let me see them anymore. She said she had her own way of handling the situation. I opened the curtains just in time to see Gabby carrying one person under each arm, effortlessly flinging them both outside the castle grounds. News of Castro Corporation's impending bankruptcy could no longer be hidden. Reports were everywhere online. Some people even remembered Gregory's stupid wife. Old posts were bumped to the top, sparking a wave of discussion. I heard they already divorced. When disaster strikes, everyone flies for themselves. Didn't the stupid girl inherit a lot from her grandfather? Why won't she help Castro Corporation after all? The Castro family took her in for 5 years. The person above is an idiot. Your profile picture hasn't changed yet. Didn't you hear that Susie, that bitch, was a corporate spy? She's the real reason Castro Corporation is collapsing. I used to support their divorce too. Better than getting the mother-in-law's daily nasty looks and being mocked online. Now she's divorced, living carefree with billions to spend. Sounds perfect to me. So what if she's rich? Besides, a pure love warrior like President Castro who'd want to marry a stupid girl? Maybe some older single men would consider it. Is your pee mat finished or something? A frog commenting on humans. Judging by your profile, you're still raging because your boss underpaid you $200. You don't dare confront your boss, but you can't swallow the anger either. Worry about yourself, ha ha ha. Gabby went down the list and liked every single comment that supported me, her fingers tapping so furiously they were practically smoking. She even took screenshots of the supportive comments and showed them to me. Miss Look, lots of people envy you. I glanced at them and smiled. I didn't care much about online comments anymore. What made me happy was that Gabby stood by me unconditionally. Milo, not to be outdone, squeezed into my arms, rolled over and showed his soft belly, acting cute. Meow. Oh right, there's Milo too. Grandpa, I'm really happy now.